from the great state of Michigan. Podcasting across the world and beyond. Across the world and beyond. It's the Easyspeak and Speakeasy330 podcast. A podcast that will go in depth on local and national news, ranging from sports to beer and barbecue. We've got you covered. Get ready for Ain't My Money, Not My Problem, where we'll make the picks, you make the money. Now, go grab your favorite beverage. Sit back and join Tom, Rich, JP, a.k.a. The Giant, and Drew. It's showtime.
Good evening, everybody. It's Saturday night in the Speakeasy. My name is Tom. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We got a special show for you. First time ever on the Easyspeak, we're doing a giveaway. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that one. We're going to give away a couple Lions tickets for the August 11th preseason game against the Giants. And that'll come in the form of a trivia question that we'll give you guys later on. But we're going to talk a little Jim Harbaugh, 4-game suspension. We've got a Buckeye in the house. We've got a big Michigan fans here. So it'll be interesting to see the differences of opinions on that one. Was it fair? We'll see. MLB Trade Deadline coming up on Tuesday. Big trade just took place within the last hour with Max Scherzer. We'll talk about that. Justin Herbert gets paid. How's that going to affect some of the other quarterbacks that are looking up contract coming up soon? So we'll see what that does. And we're going to continue our fantasy football preview series. This week, we're going to go over the top defenses. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in my good buddy, Rich Jasper. What's up, bub?
Hey, Tommy. How you doing?
It's a beautiful day here. Of course, it was windy all day long, and then we go to record live, and there's no wind. It's beautiful.
There's no wind, and the train comes ripping through.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as I go live, you can hear the train. So it should be a fun one.
For sure.
JP, what's up, bud?
What's going on?
Saturday night in the Speakeasy. Should be fun.
Yep.
Looking forward to have a little bantering.
This show is brought to you by Coors Latte.
Got the Coors Light and the Lagunitas hockey water. That stuff's pretty good, actually. Tastes almost like a seltzer.
It does. And then I have my very vanilla candle, as we'll call it.
Look at
set the mood. I don't have my my McCarthy and my Robinson and Larry Foote jerseys behind me, so I just got to deal with candles and blank walls. So
and you're a little loosened up. So if an accidental fart slips, then you're covered. I got you.
Yeah, that way everybody's cool.
Yeah, they're all good.
It wouldn't be an Easyspeak podcast if it wasn't for JP bringing up a little flatulence.
Yeah,
Tim. Our resident Buckeye in the house. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, guys? I'm excited for today's episode. Can't wait to dig into that scumbag from Ann Arbor. So.
Ooh, man. Well, you know what? With that being said, we're gonna get right into it. Jim Harbaugh, 4-game suspension. I call it Cheeseburger Gate. Other people in this room with me seem to disagree. But nonetheless, he gets a 4-game suspension. Sharon Moore and Grant Newsom each get 1-game suspension. So, Tim, I'll start with you. You're kind of the odd man out here in this group. You're the Buckeye fan. And, what's your opinion of the suspension? And do you think the punishment fit the crime?
I think the reasoning for the suspension is legitimate. It shouldn't apply to the NCAA in the first place. So,
nobody does that.
Him himself made it a level 1. If he would have just admitted to all the violations, which were level 2, there would have been no suspension. But the fact he was under investigation for these violations anyways is a bunch of bullshit. I hate defending Jim Harbaugh, but you're talking about practicing and contacting prospects via text message. Like, who fucking cares? There's a lot worse going on, At the end of the day, what elite school is not cheating? And these are very minor violations to be investigating.
Rich, do you? We were texting back and forth earlier. Do you feel like this is a situation where the NCAA is being very petty, or is it warranted?
Well, they're being petty. I think that does the punishment fit the crime? No. I mean, let's be real here. Did he violate? For sure? Yeah, you're not supposed to be doing any type of meeting with recruits during the COVID time where it was considered the dead period. Shouldn't be texting players. He knows the rules. It's not his first time around, right? Maybe watching some Zoom and stuff like that. The restaurant's open back up. He just happens to show up at the Brown Jug and buys a couple burgers and stuff like that. But that's all level 2 stuff, which would have been very, very minor. But they're saying that he lied and tried to cover it up. But I think he was quoted as saying, "I don't recall what you're saying," and so I don't really consider, if I don't recall something, it doesn't mean I'm lying. It's just I don't recall. The guy probably interacts with hundreds of people a day. I don't think he remembers every single thing that he talks about. And if you look at the guy, during the media time, the media that they had, he's a space cadet. I mean, he is what he is. I mean, he's a space cadet and very far out there, but the punishment doesn't fit the crime. I think 4 games is crazy, but you look at some other things where they were penalized less. You look at not necessarily football, but basketball. Penny Hardaway had some recruiting violations too, and he served a 3-game suspension, even though he appealed it, but he still served a 3-game suspension because Memphis is like, you're going to serve it. So.
Well, JP, you're a resident Michigan insider, we'll say.
Well, he's not an insider, but he's just very knowledgeable.
Expert. We'll call him an expert here.
That's better.
What was your take on the overall punishment? And second part to the question, it looks like Mike Hart will probably assume the head coaching role. What is that going to do for his experience level?
Yeah, well, they were obviously turned in by a former recruiting analyst or coordinator, obviously a hater. The penalties, we all agree, kind of stupid. I guess if you're lying to the NCAA, there wasn't nothing egregious. There was no direct payments made to players. Nobody bought a Rolls Royce for anybody. It was only a cheeseburger, guys. Calm down. It's all good. But anyway, so Mike Hart, he's obviously an assistant head coach on the team, probably a future head coach real soon. You got to keep him in there for the 4 games for the continuity. I mean, they're playing nobody. I mean, you're not really worried about Jim Harbaugh not being on the sidelines in the first 4 games. I think any one of us could probably coach the team and probably win at least the first 3. You know what I mean? So it's not no harm, no foul. He hasn't really talked much about it. He just said nothing to be ashamed of. I think we all like cheeseburgers anyway. So
Of course.
yeah. If you got to die on a hill that you love, I guess.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you right now, I've been to the Brown Jug. Their hamburgers are pretty good.
I just wonder if he made them drink whole milk with their cheeseburgers.
Or if they wore cleats to the meeting.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cue something up here. This is very interesting. Paul Feinbaum, a very outspoken analyst, SECville, not a big fan of Jim Harbaugh. So this is pretty shocking.
The number of times I've asked you questions about Jim Harbaugh, I can't even count them anymore. What do you think of this one?
Let's start with the NCAA. It's beyond a clown show, Greeny. It is a clown show, and the fact that they would sanction him for this is really beyond the pale. I mean, essentially, he's accused of buying somebody a hamburger and then not telling the truth about it. I mean, Greeny, don't eject me out of my seat here, but I'm starting to respect Jim Harbaugh for standing firm and refusing to go down the NCAA's path. This could have been over with a long time ago, but Harbaugh would not admit he lied. And because the NCAA is so backwards and so antediluvian, they ended up with this agreement. In the end, the NCAA has no jurisdiction over anyone or anybody, and they can't push things too far because the schools will take them to court, and the NCAA maybe will lose. But in the end, I think Jim Harbaugh looks really good here, and this might be my final broadcast ever on this earth.
Yes, I saw that, and I couldn't believe he is probably Jim Harbaugh hater number one.
Dude, he's a bigger hater than Tim, so that says a lot.
That's huge.
He definitely was.
You know, he didn't sleep well that night after talking about that. He probably tossed and turned, going, "Man, I can't believe I said that."
No, no arousal there, right?
Mm-mm.
So Tim, I think it's evident the landscape of college football is changing. I think we all agree there's going to be a couple super conferences. Is this maybe the NCAA's like kind of last ditch effort to remain some sort of control, or is this just ridiculous on every level?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's ridiculous the way the suspension happened, but it's them trying to control it and make a point to everybody else that there's still the power of the college football landscape. But within 5 years, I believe the NCAA is going to be no more.
Yeah, I think that's a good estimation, and you do hear rumors already of more teams leaving. The Pac-12, Colorado being one of them, that's already confirmed. So I guess we'll quickly go around the table. I'll stay with you, Tim. Is this going to hurt the program, yes or no?
No. JP said it himself, any of us could go out there and coach under the first 4 wins. I mean, you're playing Wayne Memorial, John Glenn, and Easter High, basically.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's going to fire the team up for their coach, and they're going to play harder and be harder to beat. So as a Buckeye, I really disagree with it. So,
Rich, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the consensus around the panel is going to be the same thing. I don't think it's going to affect the program one way or the other. I do, however, think that it's just going to add logs to that fire that's been there all off season. So I think going forward, I think it's going to be throttled down. Hopefully, and everybody they play, they don't let up. They just keep going. So,
and you agree this is just par for the course, we'll say, JP. Whether he's there or not, they're probably going to end up 4-0 by the time he gets back.
It's just a clown show. He's been outspoken about the NCAA rules, and he's tested the boundaries with the satellite camps and other things that he's done. It almost looks like the NCAA was looking for the first slip up to try to pop him for something. So yeah, it's not, like I said, nothing egregious, no harm, no foul. We'll be 4-0. We'll see you back in week 5.
And like you said, being turned in by somebody that worked for the program, that makes it even more egregious, in my opinion. Yeah. But I want to give a shout out to one of our followers, Swanky Wolverine. Rich knows what I'm about to play.
Yeah.
This is such a crock of shit.
Excuse me?
No, I don't think I will. You're building a rat ship here. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place. Hoo-ah!
Oh, he's a great follower at Swanky Wolverine.
Yeah, Swanky Wolverine is a great follow on Twitter. That's for sure. He always comes up with the good stuff. I did ask him for permission to play that clip. Yeah, he said absolutely, just as long as you credit it, and the credit goes to him. Swanky, thank you much for letting us share it.
He's he does a lot of remixes, and he does a lot of graphics too. Like you can have your profile picture, he'll make it into like a jersey or something. He's really cool. He's been doing that for quite some time. So,
hey Tim, maybe you should follow him on Twitter.
Yeah,
for sure.
We might change you.
Moving on to the other part here of Big Ten talk. Ryan Day was asked in Big Ten Media Day what his opinion of the big game. Should it be moved earlier in the season or keep it where it's at? It'd be interesting to hear what his response was.
I think we should. I think it's worth a long discussion about where that game should be placed. You know, I think if it was the same way as it was this past year, we'd be playing back-to-back games, and then who knows, maybe even playing again in the playoffs. So I just think that needs to be taken into consideration. Not that we shouldn't move it, but I think it's worth talking about.
Just real quick on that idea.
Yeah.
That's a big deal that will happen. Right? What would be or are the difficulties of playing a team like that back to back? Like what you're saying that could be, if that happened, what would be the negative about that?
Yeah, well, it's the game could not, have an impact on, a whole bunch in terms of if both teams are in the Big Ten playoff or Big Ten championship game already, then, could it minimize the game? That's my concern. Even if you played it, week 11, week 10, no matter what, it's going to matter. But if you're playing them in the Big Ten championship game already, it could be something that we haven't experienced before. That's all. So I think it's worth a discussion.
So what's your
It is. I think.
So Tim, being the lone Buckeye of the group here, I'll start with you. What's your opinion as far as where the game is played schedule-wise? Would you like to see it moved?
I think he should worry about winning the fucking game before he worries about the game being moved.
Wow, that's a little Drewism there.
But I mean, he's right to a point. Even as fans, it'd be fun to see it back-to-back weeks. But at the same time, they waste so much energy into the first game where they bring the same energy back-to-back weeks. So I do believe it needs to be moved up maybe a little bit. Maybe we'll make it a week 0 game. Make week 0 mean something.
Rich? You like it where it's at, or do you see it being moved?
I wrote some notes down here, and my thought on this is the only reason why somebody would want that game moved up is because they don't want to lose the last week of the year, and then it could affect their rankings, right? They'd rather have that loss earlier in the season
and recover
and have it late in the season. That's really what it boils down to. It has nothing to do with playing you back to back. Nothing to do with that. It's the sole fact is that he's like, well, if you lose a game in week 5, it's easier to recover from a statistical because then you could go and try to blow out every team after that, right? So,
JP, what are your thoughts?
See, I'm not a big traditionalist because college football isn't tradition anymore. They could play the game 1, 5, 6, 10, 12. I'd even like to see them play at night at some point in my life. I think that'd be pretty epic.
Wow.
So they can move the game wherever. I think if you're good, you're good, and you got to beat the top dogs. So if you want to beat the top dogs, then beat the top dogs. If you want to be the top dogs, I should say beat the top dogs. Beat them twice in a row. Beat them 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and in 2, I think maybe Ryan Day would perhaps like to play earlier in the season. That way there's less of an opportunity for injuries, which come into play. But irregardless, I mean, if what was it, back in 2009 when Michigan Ohio State played, they were 1-2, and theoretically they should have played each other in the next the BCS still, based on schedule and all that. And I would have been all for that. Even last year, I would have been all for it.
Yeah,
it's the 2 best teams, and I think ultimately that's the best approach. And I don't see them moving it. I just think that this is the best rivalry in all of sports, and I don't see them messing around with it. So
I think you're going to see them play. You're going to see them play a couple times in a row for a while, though.
But that's okay. Well, I mean, USC comes into play. We'll see.
I don't think USC's on their level yet. I think they'll be a solid number 2, 1A, 1B.
We're going to find out real quick starting next year, and that's going to be awesome. Yeah, Raj. So we're going to move on to the MLB trade deadline here. We got some big name. It was moved today, just a little while ago, as I mentioned pre-show. And we are going to start with some breaking news.
Are we?
Max Scherzer, just before we went live, sources are saying he will accept a opt out, or he'll accept he'll waive his no trade, we'll say, to go to Texas. And JP, you were mentioning early what the return is. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're getting Acuna Jr., Ronald Acuna's younger brother. He's the third best prospect in the Texas organization, which is a pretty good organization. And to me, it's impressive for the Mets to get any kind of return for a pitcher who's 39. He's on his last year of his deal. Probably not going to get him back next year. Looks like the Mets are kind of going into rebuild mode. Corey, yeah, probably going to get rid of Verlander too here at some point. They're looking like they're trying to build around Pete Alonso and Lindor and them guys and get rid of some of the old goats that they're paying all that money to.
Verlander's slated to pitch tomorrow, so that'll be a really good indicator. If all of a sudden it gets pulled, you know that there's something in the works. Go ahead, Rich.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they put it at, was it $365 million roughly in their salary for this year. I think they are just hardcore sellers. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Lindor go, or you see even Alonso go. I think they're like, hey, you know what? We tried to give it a run. We just fell short, and I think they're going to go into a full blown rebuild.
Yep. I mean, when you make that big splash the last couple off seasons, and you're just not getting any results, that's not good for business. And I was watching MLB earlier today, and they asked their opinions on Verlander, and indications were that he would not be traded. I'll be interested to see if they do get an offer. It'll cost him a lot, because isn't he making like something like 38 something million per year for the next 2 years? So that's going to be a tough contract to move. Rich, we'll ask you. Tigers had a nice win today. Prior to today, they lost 4 in a row. They've just looked really deflated after that series against Anaheim or Los Angeles. Do you see any movement between them? Any players possibly won't be with this team come next Tuesday?
Yeah, I think we're still in the process of a building. I mean, let's face it. Harris got dumped a big, huge turd, and he's trying to make the best what he could. And I tell you right now, kudos to AJ Hinch. The guy is fielding a baseball team of minor league, AAA, and AA baseball players. Yeah. Realistically, I think right now, at times, there's flashes of good when you see Torkelson hitting the ball hard. You see Riley Green back in the lineup hitting the ball hard and doing his thing. It's some of the guys that are surprising me. McKinstry's surprising me day in and day out. But they just need to – I mean, yeah, he was a great feel-good story 2 years ago. I think it's time we move on from that. The two guys I really see moving, I would not be surprised if Erod is gone, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Lorenz is gone. I think those are two guys that might help a team that's making a push for the playoffs, and they're on the relatively cheap side. I'm not sure what the return would be with those two guys, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Alec Lang gone. There might be somebody who might take a flyer on him. I mean, we're all crossing our fingers. The guy, he's like the Phil Koch of years past. When every time
don't tarnish Phil Koch's name,
dude. Every time Phil Koch got in there, I mean, his bull run out to the mound. Every
what
time.
About Todd Jones?
Oh, dude, I'll take Todd Jones over Phil Koch. Phil Koch was like, Phil Koch is like one of two things. It's either it's going to be awesome, or it's like, fuck. It'd be the first, So I do see some on the pitching side. I see going. I mean, from the positional side, I really don't see much movement around there. I mean, I'd love to see him dump Javi Baez's contract, but nobody wants that. I'd love to see it. I mean, at this point right now, of coming close to July 31st, the deadline, we're not. Even though we're in the Central, and the Central isn't. I mean, we've all agreed on previous shows that the Central is just an absolute dumpster fire. And, we're not far out, but you know what? I would rather not make the playoffs than make the playoffs and get absolutely embarrassed. I mean, I would rather just be like, you know what, next year let's keep charging. But that's my take on it. I see those two guys probably being dealt. It all depends on if what comes in return. I see, and Corey posted up there about Skubal. You know what? If you could get a good haul for him, I would do it. I honestly would. I think if you can get a good haul for Skubal, I think that's something that I would definitely entertain.
It's interesting. He mentions Foley. He is a good innings guy. That setup guy. He's been pretty good. Tim, do you see any situation where the Tigers aren't sellers here? And do you think that there'll be some players on the move?
I believe they're going to sell now. They have to. They have no chance to win the division, and if they don't start making improvements, they're going to set themselves back even several more years. Rich said, try to go to Javi. I would go all costs. Hey, you want Skubal? You got to take Javi. Sorry, I'm gonna package Javi into somebody.
I mean, Scott Harris has come from two organizations that are pretty good. So he's got a good pedigree when it comes to that.
Unfortunately, the Raiders aren't in Major League Baseball, so nobody's taking Javi.
That's true.
I know.
We're gonna go over a couple deals that have already been done, but first this. Oh, shoot.
Let that linger in the hitter's eyes.
Here it comes. That's just what he did, and he got a swing and a miss from Correa to get out of the inning. Oh, Joe Kelly strutting his way off after an interesting inning. All right, so the benches have cleared, and we'll do our best to maintain social distancing while still sending a message.
Yes, Rich. Your boy, Joe Kelly. Going back to the Dodgers, what do you think about that one?
Dude, I tell you right now, by far, out of every pitcher in the Major League Baseball, he is by far my favorite pitcher because of that specific thing. That just came out of trash can gate.
You should have wore your T-shirt, Rich.
You know what? I should have. I didn't have time to look for it. It's probably still in a box somewhere. But, dude, let me tell you something. He went in there and absolutely clowned. Before Correa, it was Bregman. Threw him right at his head. Bregman kind of looked at him like deer in headlights. Then he threw a couple in on Correa. Correa's like, what the hell's going on here? And then he's like, I think it was 3-0. He comes in, throws dart. Got him out, and then infamous look as he's walking off. It was the best. It was
the John Boy Media version on YouTube of that is great. He's unfiltered, but yeah, that's memorable. And to go back to the Dodgers, I know our good buddy Raj is a Dodger fan, and he was fired up to get him back. And so some notables here, the Marlins just got David Robertson, who's played with the White Sox. He's played with the Mets. He's played with the Yankees. He's kind of played all over the place. So that should be a good pickup for the Marlins. We'll see if they make any ground. They've kind of struggled after the All-Star break. The big one for me was Giolito going to Anaheim, or the Angels, I should say. And that pretty much shut the door of any talk of Ohtani being moved. So, JP, is it the right thing for the Angels deciding not to trade Ohtani, or do they feel like they really have a legitimate chance at least at the wild card?
Yeah, I think they have a legitimate chance. We've talked about them a little bit, and I think they have a legitimate squad. It would be hard to break ties with probably a guy that's going to end up being one of the, if not the best player to ever play baseball. I'm sure that there's a lot of negotiations going on between the Angels and Ohtani's interpreter. But yeah, no, I wouldn't. You got to try to keep the guy at all costs. As you've seen when they came to Detroit here and swept our ass, they got some good young talent, and I think they have a legitimate shot to get in this year.
if they can hold on for another 3 to 4 weeks, they get Trout back for the playoff push. That should really help them. We mentioned earlier.
Hold on, before we go any further, who picked the Angels in the West?
You did.
Oh, that was Rich.
You did.
Thank you,
Mr. Jasper.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if they'll win the West. I think they got a chance at least the second wild card. I think they're 2 or 3. They've lost 2 in a row to Toronto, so they may have slipped back, but there's still a long season to go. And they're in the thick of it. They just got Giolito, which should help them. Already a halfway decent pitching staff. So again, Scherzer's gone. We talked about Verlander. The interesting one here is Bellinger. Bellinger's been tearing the cover off the ball in Chicago. They've won 7 in a row, including last night's unbelievable finish in St. Louis.
Who called that out?
Talkman with the robbing home run, unbelievable. So my question really, Tim, Cody Bellinger, NL MVP in 2019, kind of fell off the next couple of years. This year he's kind of found himself again in Chicago. Why would Chicago even entertain the thought of moving him?
Honestly, I have no idea why they would entertain that. You're in the mix. To me, that's a sign of you're showing your team you're giving up essentially, and you're ready to move forward and start a rebuild. And I don't know why they would do that unless they know something we don't.
Well, that NL wild card right now, a half game separates 1 through 4. So they're right there, and they're right there in the mix for the NL Central. So it is interesting to me. And then JP Nolan Arenado is one of the big names you're hearing, potentially going to the Dodgers. You talk to Nolan Arenado, he says he hasn't heard anything. There's no grumblings, which is always what they always say. It's coach people say. Nolan Arenado going to the Dodgers would, if not make them number 1, at least the top 2 or 3. Would that be a good move for the Dodgers to make?
Oh, absolutely. And they just got Ahmed Rosario from Cleveland there to shore up their shortstop. And St. Louis is a team that's old at key positions, and they need to get younger. So they're probably looking to get some value back in return for them because they're obviously out of it. You know what I mean? They're not making a push. And, Goldschmidt over 35. Arenado's getting up there a little bit. Wainwright's 55, 60. It's good on both sides. The Dodgers are making that late season push like they do every year. If you can get Arenado, then look out for them.
Yeah, I mean he's a solid.
He's a beast.
He's a solid player. He can hit. His glove is. I think his glove is underrated. He's fantastic over there at the hot corner.
One of the top 10 hitters in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that'd be a scary lineup. He goes over to LA. So
yeah, Freddie Freeman, Arenado. Yeah, no thanks. Mookie Betts.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Just give me Dodgers, Braves, and the NLCS and call it a day.
Yeah.
So the next couple of days are going to be pretty exciting if you're a baseball fan. I think the temperature dropped a little bit once Ohtani came off the board, but nonetheless, it's always exciting. Tuesday will be fun. There'll be a lot of coverage leading up to that. So moving on to our next topic, Justin Herbert got paid. 5-year extension. Now he's the temporary highest paid salary in the NFL. It seems that lasts on average about 3 or 4 weeks. Jalen Hurts was the highest paid. Now it's Justin Herbert. So obviously Burrow is the next kind of chip to fall when it comes to contract talk. Unfortunately, he goes down with
my first block on Twitter.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
My first block.
He's a chump. But,
I'm so happy.
If you noticed earlier on the crawl, we stand with Lexi. We here at the Easyspeak, we're fighting a good fight for you. Screw those people that want to talk. So go follow her at Go Blue Lexi 117 and show her your support. She's had a pretty rough a couple of days. We'll see.
All right, so Justin Herbert. Let's go. Justin Herbert.
Yeah, so Justin Herbert gets his money. Burrows gets hurt. JP, how does that affect the line now as far as his pay? Do you think this is just a
No, just a little blip in the radar.
Yeah.
Every time we see a quarterback get paid lately, it's the highest and most richest contract. If you look at Joe Burrow, he's 5-2 in the playoffs. He's already been to a Super Bowl. Just for a little side note here, so C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Jordan Love are all getting paid higher than Joe Burrow this year. So you're expecting some big money from him come his negotiation. And also one that people aren't talking about is Tua's going to be up for another contract too.
Yeah.
And I expect if he can stay healthy, and that McDaniels, he was one of the top rated quarterbacks in the NFL last year when he was healthy.
Well, I think.
But if he stays healthy and he stays upright, that'll be one to watch this year.
Yeah, as long as his head's not getting bounced like a basketball on the field.
As long as his head's in the right place, no pun intended.
Mm-hmm. And here's a name that I kind of thought. Patrick Mahomes. He signed a huge deal a couple years ago. He's down, I think, 8 or 9. I have the list right here. He's 8th. He's 8th highest paid quarterback. Clearly, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Rich, do you think it's a situation where Mahomes approaches Kansas City and says, show me some love, let me get some more money?
No, I'll be honest with you, because his deal, if I'm not mistaken, his deal is very backloaded on it.
Yeah.
I think, he takes less or whatever, and then it just kind of grows into it. So, but I think that if something were to happen where he was to get caught or something like that, then that money would be pretty much fully guaranteed out. If you look at Herbert, I mean, he's 52.5 million a year. That's a lot of cheddar. And in the guarantees or whatever, it's like 193 million.
133.
Well, it says in all incentive bonuses, everything like that, guaranteed at 193, but fully guaranteed 133 million. That's
nothing to laugh about for sure.
No, I'll take it.
Tim, your boy CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, kind of a unique situation. He gets the whole contract right up front.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
All 4 years, 100%. I don't know, man. I don't know what Houston's doing. Guy's never played a preseason game, and you're giving him $36 million.
That's the Ohio State negotiation because he knows that their success rate is about 15% in the NFL.
I think he's about to reset the market with that right there.
Well, I mean, when you can't beat Michigan, of course they're just going to pay you up front because they don't want that lagging behind, right?
Yeah, but now what if they cut him in 2 years? What if he gets a career-ending injury or something?
I don't.
How about just sucks as a quarterback?
Or just sucks
kudos to him, though, for getting his money up front.
That is 100. Whoever did that deal for him, he should get at least 20%.
2 BJs.
That's the Ohio State knowledge.
Oh yeah, okay. With that,
his mom probably negotiated that contract.
With that, we'll go around real quick. JP, do you think that will start a trend? You think more players will want a contract like that?
Yeah, I mean, they can want it, whether or not the NFL, whether or not they're going to get it. But who knows, man? That's the first of. Houston's a desperate organization. I don't think a lot of organizations are as desperate as Houston. So I don't think that's going to be a trend that you're going to see too often. But I think that's going to be the goal moving forward. The way injuries and everything affect the game now.
Rich, what's your take on that?
I think it's an anomaly. I don't see that happening very often. What would you say, it was a 4-year deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they know he ain't going to be shit this year, so it saves them money for next. Because that's a 1-season cap hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a 1-season cap hit, and then they got money under the cap for the next 3 years to possibly put some people around them. I think that might have been the methodology behind that. Is they're like, well, if we're going to pay him this much money, I don't see that happening very often.
Yeah, I mean, when it broke, it was rather shocking, and I wonder if that'll affect, come year 2 or 3 when the opportunity of an extension comes into play, wonder at that point, how does that change negotiations? Is he going to want another 4 years right up front, or who knows? Houston will be in that situation. So, But a reminder for everybody still listening, still watching, I should say, we are doing our Lions trivia for tickets that'll be coming up here very soon. So just wanted to give you guys an update. It's coming up here within the next couple segments. So moving on to our fantasy football preview. We've already done all the other position players minus the kicker, which I don't know if we're going to do kickers. So this week we're going to do top defensive teams. JP, let's give me a rundown of the top defenses you have coming into this fantasy football league.
Yeah, so in fantasy football, obviously you want to go with defenses that are forcing turnovers. So I like the Cowboys, number 1 last year in takeovers. They added Mozzie Smith. They have Stephon Gilmore opposite of Trayvon Diggs now. Obviously, we're talking about the 49ers, who were second in takeaways last year. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, probably the best linebacker duo in the NFL. Obviously, you got Nick Bosa up front. Eagles, 4th in takeaways. They added Jalen Carter. I like their combination of Slay and Bradbury at corner. That could bode well for interceptions and points. Kind of under the radar defense is the Patriots, who were 3rd last year in takeaways, and have also added Christian Gonzalez from Oregon in the first round. Judon, probably one of the most underrated superstars in the NFL. Our boy Josh Uche, Michigan boy, 11.5 sacks last year. And those would be my top. That's my top defenses that I would go after.
Tim, what do you got for top defenses?
49ers. You get points for sacks in fantasy football. They're hitting the quarterback and getting points. They force turnovers.
Yeah.
JP said they got the 2 top linebackers probably as a duo. Philadelphia's got a nasty front 7, man. I don't know who's going to be able to move the ball on them. They're going to make their secondary better just by pressure. On that list, I didn't see the Lions. I think Gardner Johnson's bringing the juice to that defense, and I think the Lions will have a top 10 defense this year.
Oh.
I mean, they've got a nice set of bookends between Houston and Hutch there on the end. So that could be that would be amazing to see. I'll just say that. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid yet. A little foreshadowing. But there's potential. There's definitely a lot of improvement. Rich, who do you got for top defense?
Yeah, the Cowboys seem like the last couple of seasons they've been doing all right.
Yeah.
49ers like Bosa. Bills last couple of years. I mean, if you look at those top 3 teams right there in that list, the Eagles, they lost some guys, but they still managed to still stay up there, which is more of a testament of their drafting and their scheme, right? So I think the way that they got those set up right there, those top 4 teams are pretty solid.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm with Tim. A little disappointed you don't see the Lions up there, but I think the Lions are going to have a good defense this year. Yeah, they do, and every year. I mean, that's kind of like goes with the cachet of Miggy's in the best shape of his life when he comes out of when he shows up for spring training. We sit here and say, man, the defense looks sweet during training camp, and then they come out and absolutely just shit the bed. So, that's there's another Rich analogy, right? But that's just kind of one of those things. That's just one of those things. Every year we get our hopes up, and I think this year's up just because there's a lot of hype behind it. But however, I think that I think where the rubber meets the road, they're actually finally starting to turn it around. So I do see them being better than last year. I mean, anything can be better than last year. So hopefully they can carry some momentum. So
our good buddy Brandon Chain breaking some news here.
It's all right. We already got New York Tims, so we already got that. New York Tims already hit us up while we were.
He sent the message during the show
requesting a trade.
New York
that's
Tims.
Interesting. Be looking forward to digging into that. What happened? Why he goes from the face of the franchise to potentially not being there. For me, if Von Miller's healthy, that Buffalo Bill defense will roll. He gets hurt last year, and it kind of.
Gregory Rousseau too, though. He's a great defensive end.
He went to Miami, didn't he? Came out of Miami.
Yeah, Miami.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that they lose that veteran leadership, and it seemed like Miller was wherever he went, he'd find success. Denver, the Rams, the 1 year. So you thought it would follow suit, moving in, and I agree with you guys. I think the Lions definitely have improved, and it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out. One thing we didn't get to the last topic, I want to kind of hit on real quick. JP, with the last segment, we were talking quarterbacks. Who's your top 5 right now in the NFL?
I went with number 1, Pat Mahomes. Number 2 is Joe Burrow. Number 3, I put Jalen Hurts. Number 4, Josh Allen. And number 5, I like Justin Herbert. Josh Allen on this list out of all these guys might have the most ability out of all of them, but this guy, he's been a turnover machine. So that's why I put him under Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts.
Josh Allen, it might be a little bit too aggressive sometimes for his own good. And as the season goes along, he seems to kind of fall back in the stat line. Rich, who's your top
5? This year, I think Patrick Mahomes is still going to tear it up. I'd like to see Josh Allen be a little more successful in protecting the ball and not giving the ball up. I don't know why everybody's so big on Dak Prescott, but I'm not. But I think he's going to have a bounce back year this year. And I think, honestly, Jared Goff is going to have a breakout year this year. I think he's going to do better than
cornbread.
I think he's going to do. I think he's going to do better than what people give him credit for. Yeah, he's not that deep ball throwing guy, but he's a hell of a game manager. He still manages to put stats up. And then Joe Burrow, as long as he comes back, I think Joe Burrow's, out of them all. Oh, here we go, Brett. I think Joe Burrow is I think he's going to take him to the Super Bowl. So as long as his
ready
calf
to get your
healthy.
ass kicked, Corey Taylor.
Yes. Tim, let me get your top
5. Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, Noah.
Turn his fucking camera off. Turn it off.
Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and I might be a year ahead here, but Trevor Lawrence at number 5.
And Cardell Jones. Yeah, Cardell.
Dwayne Haskins.
Haskins is like
throw Haskins.
He's been dead for a year and a half.
Joe Burrow at number 2 because he went to Ohio State.
Yeah, still claim him. He wasn't great at Ohio State. He was great at LSU, but he's still a Buckeye.
He was Mr. Football in Ohio. I got obviously Mahomes until he's not the best, until you knock him off. I like Herbert. I think this is the year you see Herbert take that next leap.
He should for that $52 million a year.
That big contract should help propel him. Jalen Hurts, unbelievable season last year. What he did in the Super Bowl, just amazing. And I think it's only going to get better for him. He's got a lot of good pieces around him. Joe Burrow, if healthy, hopefully that calf isn't a big issue because he's just such a good guy and good for the NFL. And I like Josh Allen. I think he's going to get to a point where he realizes that maybe if I shouldn't put my head down against these linebackers because I'd rather, of course.
So you have
from one Buckeye to another.
You have Burrow behind Jalen Hurts.
I have Burrow one behind Hurts. Yep, I got Hurts at 3, Burrow at 4. So.
Mine were in no particular order, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we knew that.
Sticking with the fantasy football theme, thought it would be a little, since it was just really one position, we were going to go funny fantasy football team names. We all like to have fun with that one. I think my team name last year was the ever popular Saquon D's Nuts, and here's a couple good examples here. Burrito Bowl. I like that one. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Tim will like this one, Loud and Stroud. That'll probably be his team name this year.
Yeah.
Kelsey Handler, that's a good one. Ertz, so good. Miller, genuine draft picks, that's pretty good. JP, you got any good ones you want to mention?
Yeah, How I Metcalf Your Mother.
Yeah.
Dude looks like a Brady. BJ Shark. The Panty Raiders. Favre got dick pics. Turn your head and golf. Or Favre got dick pics picked off. That's it.
You just stole the show there.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I got the Dak Street Boys. They're both trash. Burrowhead, whatever. Haha. And Brandon ruined it. They had Taylor made because Taylor's making his way out of Indy real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rich, you got any good names?
No, dude, I can't compete with that.
I am Iron Man. Wasn't that your name last year?
No, I don't remember what my name was last year.
Yeah, I like to change my name week to week. I like to switch it up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know. Depends on whatever is current in the news at the time.
Yeah, I know. Every week it's like, oh, who's this guy? What is that name? That's just.
How about the Pittsburgh Feelers?
The Pittsburgh Feelers. That's a good one.
Hey. that could be a winner. You know, this is an R-rated fantasy football league. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Brandon, we saw it. Scherzer to the Rangers.
Yep. We agreed to it. They were saying he would. So
if you would have been watching us earlier, you could have seen we already talked about it.
Brandon's a busy man. He's got a lot of golf to play. He lives on a golf course, so he's
just talking shit.
He's always hitting the link. So are you guys ready? You know what time it is. It's trivia time. First ever Easyspeak trivia question. So everybody get ready. Get your thinking caps on.
I'm watching the comment feed right now.
Okay.
So go over the rules here, Tom.
The rules are
we're going to
put the question up on the screen. And the first person to answer the question in the comments wins a pair of tickets to the Lions-Giants game August 11th, which is actually the preseason home opener in a couple weeks. So pretty awesome prize there. So I'm going to be putting the question up on the screen. And again, the first person to answer correctly in the comments wins, and we'll get some information from you via Messenger on our Facebook page, and we'll get the tickets transferred over. So without further ado, here is the question. Lions first round draft pick Jahmyr Gibbs started his college career at which school? So get your Google machine out.
Everybody's Googling it.
We all know that that is the proper way to get any answers these days. Again, Jahmyr Gibbs started his college career at what school? Jahmyr Gibbs, draft pick this year, number 12. I think we can all agree we're excited to see his potential, where he might land as far as shoes to fill, with Williams being gone, with Swift being gone. I think that puts a lot of pressure on a young kid, but they have a lot of faith in him. What do you think, JP?
Oh yeah, he's definitely an upgrade from Swift, I believe, because obviously Swift can't stay on a football field long enough to know if he's good. He's going to be a burner for him this year, at least 50 catches, I think. Ooh. I got high hopes for Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's real crafty, and he's out of the Saints. He's what's the running back? A Kamara. He's a Kamara-esque kind of a back. So I could see 50 catches. That would be good. Tim, what are your thoughts on Jahmyr?
I love Jahmyr Gibbs. A few weeks ago I took him on the NFL Offensive Player of the Year, not Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. So I'm high on him.
Yeah, you're high on something.
Rich, what do you think about Jameer here? Lot of talk that maybe the Lions were stretching on this pick, but if you talk to them and you see the reaction from draft night, they'd beg to differ.
Yeah, I think we probably could have waited a little bit on him, but to move up to get him, I guess that works out. He probably would have been there in the second round.
I don't think so. I think there were some teams looking to move up. All right, there you go. We got a winner. I believe that's your affiliation there, JP, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see it.
Yeah, you never posted it yet.
There's your winner.
Georgia Tech. You got him.
That is correct. He spent 1 year at Georgia Tech before he transferred, 1 or 2 years at Tech before he transferred to
2 years.
2 years at Tech, transferred to Alabama, and now he's here. So congratulations, Beaslem. We're going to get your information, put it in the Easyspeak message, and then we'll get you those tickets transferred over to you. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and thank you everybody that played. Or at least
let's give a shout out to Tim for
Tim
graciously purchasing and providing those tickets.
Yep. Tim, thank you so much for doing that. This is the first for Easyspeak doing a giveaway, and I hope we get to do more of these as we progress. So that'll be exciting. So once again, congratulations. That's awesome. So you can get a couple tickets for the August 11th game coming your way. Well, now it's the fun part of the show.
Get those betting slips ready. It's time for Ain't My Money, Not My Problem, where we make the picks, you make the money.
That's right. This is part of the show where get your apps out, get ready to go. Take the bets that we give you. You put some money on it. Who knows? Maybe you'll win and give us a bone. JP, it ain't your money.
Not my problem. I'm going to the UFC tonight. I like Alex Pereira over Jan Blachowicz. He's moving up to 205 to fight him. And then I like Dustin Poirier over Justin Gaethje at plus 219. I did make a wager on this bet.
You thief.
Rich Jasper.
Just say hey out. I second that.
No, I don't second that. I got Justin Gaethje plus 128 on FanDuel.
Okay. Tim, it ain't your money.
It's not my problem. I made those bets last week. I didn't know we were streaming on Saturday night, but I took Poirier, Pereira, and Kevin Holland.
Well, you did like a 9-leg parlay, so that was different.
But
he's looking to pay for someone's college education with this one.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid hard this year. I got the Lions at plus 900 to win the NFC. I don't want to jinx the Super Bowl, so I won't say that. But plus 900 NFC. Got the Kool-Aid right here. Slamming it hard.
You just jinxed the NFC, so thank you.
Winless. Here we go.
Well, it ain't my money, and it's not my problem. And I'm going to go to the Cubbies from the north side of Chicago. They are on one hell of a run. As I was saying, they won 7 in a row coming into tonight's game. I'm going to go tomorrow night Cubs money line versus the Cardinals, plus 120. Give me the Cubbies to extend their lead from St. Louis. So, all right, fellas. Great show tonight. Awesome giveaway. Thanks again to Tim, and congratulations to Beaslem for winning. JP, got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, then Tim, appreciate that with the tickets.
No problem.
That's a pretty cool thing. Maybe next week we can give away a used cock ring or something. No, I'm joking. Oh fuck! And then the show goes wild. All right, that's one too many beers too fast. No, thanks everybody for participating in the giveaway. Next week we won't be giving that away, what I just said. But I'm good, man. I'm okay.
No. TMI. Cancel the show. It's all over. Forget about it. Rich, help us out here.
In seriousness, this past week, Tom and I know there's a Twitter file we've been following since we started the podcast 3 years ago. She kind of did some stuff that was unsavory of somebody who, in my opinion, that has the followings that she has, where it wasn't a good look. But however, I will say that she owned every bit of it. She's not apologetic of it. She's like, I owned it. I did it. I fucked up. It was so bad to where it actually made Barstool Sports wrote an article on it. And then there's a guy that's absolutely just attacking the hell out of her over it, and he's making these claims about this, that, and the other. And look, I get it. It's social media. Not all good attention is the best attention, right? So all I got to say is, regardless of who you are, what you do, how you use your platform, anything like that, everybody here, we're still people. We still have feelings. We're still adults. And if you can't act like an adult, get the fuck off social media. So
I'm sorry, Rich.
It ain't me, but it's just somebody that.
No, said if you can't act like an adult. So I said, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not worried about you. You haven't acted like an adult since I've known you, so it's nothing new. But that's the thing is, like, when you get on the Twitter machine and you start, just going crazy, and it's great where people are really like second guessing things, and people trying to take legal action like that. So full disclaimer on this show: these are all our opinions. Whether you like them or not, if you don't like them, there's an X button on the top of your browser. You click off it.
Yep.
We're not going to engage. We're not going to fight with somebody over something dumb. We're all sports fanatics. We'll support our team. I mean, we even got a guy that's an Ohio State fan on the show, and I never thought I'd say this. I would probably have saw a Michigan State fan be on the show before an Ohio State fan, but I mean. You must have caught us on a good day. But no, it's just kind of one of those things. Just, be nice to each other. And that's it.
Very good. Tim.
So I want to give a shout out to Taylor North, the Little League team that won the World Series 2 years ago. They're considered the senior team now. Their commissioner reached out to me and asked me to speak to the team about how much they helped me out when I was going through my chemo shit, because that's what I was watching was Taylor North win the Little League World Series. So he wants me to speak to the kids. Kind of nervous for that. Taylor North, I guess you could say JV, went out to California yesterday to start their journey. So good luck to them. And that's it.
Awesome. I'm going to stay in house. Again, you mentioned JP, Tim. Tim was one of our, I guess, first real big loyal followers when we relaunched a few months ago. And he was dedicated and was every broadcast he was there commenting, and we were really thankful for that. And the opportunity did come up that we were looking for a fourth member. And I think we all agreed it was a perfect fit. So definitely glad that he's part of this. And I've seen progression big time since he first started. He's gotten a lot more vocal. He's starting to really get the hang of the podcasting and feeling comfortable.
Definitely more vocal.
So I'm definitely thankful that you're a part of this, and thankful
especially
that
with text messages.
Right.
Thankful that you volunteered those tickets. That was awesome. Like I said, it was the first time that we've ever done anything like that, and it shouldn't be the last. So I look forward to doing some other stuff down the road. So again, fellas, great show. The Harbaugh talk. It is nice having another Buckeye on the show that is opinionated. but not overly biased. So that is always a good thing. And it'll be interesting to see as Tuesday approaches with the MLB deadline. So look forward to next week. Rich, are you going to be out of town next week?
Rich will be in the waters of the Pacific Ocean next week.
Yeah,
so
that's
taking an aqua dump, or
no, I'm heading out.
Maybe.
I'm heading out next Friday out to LA, and then getting hopping on a boat Saturday morning and head down to Cabo, Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, that's fun.
Rich has been quite the world traveler as of late.
There's 25 of us going, so it should be a good time.
Nice.
Wow.
So it'll just be the three of us next week, and more into the football season. A full week of training camp will be under our belts. The Hall of Fame game is this Thursday. The Jets going up against my dad Terry Sloan's Browns. So we'll talk about that. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for Beaslem for answering the trivia question. Everyone listening, go like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for tuning in to the Easyspeak at Speakeasy330 podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Check us out on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to sharing another cold one with you right here next time for another fun-filled episode.